But I'd be hard-pressed to find anyone I admired more than the late coach John Wooden of the UCLA basketball team. He is considered, as many basketball fans know, the greatest coach in the history of college basketball. I had a unique situation with the coach. I was living in Woodland Hills, California, and he was down the road in Encino. And he allowed me to come to his small and modest condominium. He would serve tea, and we would just sit there very quietly discussing subjects from happiness to love, just anything I wanted. It was a wonderful experience, and I'll never forget it. In this two-part segment, Coach Wooden talks about the differences and similarities between he and his great mentor, Coach Ward Lambert. In the second section, he talks specifically about how he treats his players. May I now introduce my great friend, the late Coach John Wooden. Coach Lambert is famous for what he calls, and I got this in a book, his 7 lessons for basketball. I want to mention each one, Coach, and see how he handled it and how you differed, because you both had very distinguished careers. Number 1, he says that physical conditioning, he had a theory on that, is absolutely critical in basketball. And to me, as a layman, does that mean running around the track, lifting weights? What are we talking about when he says this physical conditioning theory is very important?
That's getting your physical condition playing basketball, not on outside things. He didn't believe in that, and I never believed in it too.
Okay.
So I ever went, and I wouldn't have gone into heavy, like the weight training they do a lot now. I do a lot of the more stretching. I wanted players with loose and supple muscles, not the knotty ones. They're the ones where you get Charlie horses and muscle pulls and things.
Okay.
And he felt, then in his play, we're going to put pressure on all the time, like in Indiana. We'll put pressure on, and we'll be in better condition, and that will pay off as the game progresses. Not at the beginning, because they'll all be in good enough condition to stay with you for a while, but if you keep it up and you are in better condition, it will pay dividends later on. And I believe that's right. Now, you have to be conditioned in different ways.
Okay.
You don't condition a football player like you condition a basketball player. Right. You don't condition a wide receiver like the way you condition a defensive line or offensive. So there's different types of conditioning, but here's the conditioning for basketball.
Okay. And is the conditioning both mental and physical?
You can't have proper physical condition unless it's preceded by mental and, in my opinion, moral conditioning. Now, you can be better conditioned, you can improve, but not to the extent that you're capable of doing unless it's preceded by mental and moral conditioning.
I got it. Okay. So you really need 3, moral, mental, and physical.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Is it similar to a boxer who, in the early rounds, most boxers are pretty strong. You get to the 10, 11, and 12. Now it's really where it counts, that conditioning. Is that analogous to basketball conditioning in some ways?
Well, in some ways, yes,
Yeah.
I think it is, and I think that would be true in football too. You know, there are many that don't do well in the fourth quarter in football, which is a rough physical game.
You bet.
And I think it would be somewhat the same in say pitchers in baseball.
Yes. Yes.
And not so much in the other positions, perhaps, as the pitching.
Right. Okay. The next thing Lambert taught was to be somewhat of a psychologist as a coach. He says you've got to be psychology in there. Let's talk about that, and if you differed with him, or how did he use psychology? You knew Lambert well.
Well, all players under your supervision are different. No two are alike. No two are identical. They're alike in many respects, but they're not identical. And what works with one might not work with another. You'd have a player once in a while that you almost have to make him almost mad at you, and then he'd show you. And if you'd treat another one the same way, he'd go in a shell. Okay. So the ability to work with those under your supervision, in my opinion, whether you are a teacher, teacher coach, supervisor of Southern California Gas Company, or whatever it would be, you've got to analyze those under your supervision and know how to get the best out of each individual and then get them to put that to work for the group as a whole.
Okay.
So psychology is very important. I used to sit in on some psychology classes, and I never, to be honest, I never enrolled in them, but I'd sit in and if they'd permit it, and here's get as much as you can. And I even did it in a psychiatry class one time, because there's almost there's times you have to be almost a psychiatrist.
Okay. The next lesson that Lambert would teach would be not to be set in your ways. Let's talk about that aspect of coaching.
Well, that means being open-minded.
Okay.
You're always learning. There's a sign of my den in there that says, when you're through learning, you're through. Another one that says, so what you do after you know it all is what matters. Yes, you can't be bullheaded. I think we'll just go through. There's a little verse. Stubbornness we desecrate, firmness we condone. The former is my neighbor's trait, the latter is my own.
Ah, interesting.
You have to be firm, but you can't be bullheaded. And I think that's very important.
Okay, good. The next one he talked about was no team meetings. We touched on that a little, but he also felt strongly about that. No team meetings.
Well, hardly any.
Hardly any.
He meant, I don't think he meant never, but he probably had fewer than other coaches in that era, and I had fewer than any coach that I knew in my teaching. But a lot of individual. He did a lot of individual working with players.
Okay.
And I think I tried. There'd be certain things with team. Okay, we'd have one meeting, go over this, and certain things of that sort. But not. I didn't want to stop 10 or 12 people, stopping them while you're talking sometimes with an individual. Take that individual out, talk with him, someone in, and they keep going. The rest of them, I don't want standing around. Now, when if a mistake is made of a sort, it's the first time that this has come up, stop it and briefly, so the entire group can understand it. Then from that time on, if it happens again, take the individual out and talk to the individual, not the. I think he was tremendous of ways what he would use to get individuals to play up to their potential.
Okay. Then he said no demand route. What does that mean, Coach? No demand route.
Well, not saying that you, it means that you must be, in a sense there, open-minded.
Okay.
It must mean that you can, basketball is a quick movement game, and there's times when you have to take advantage of an opportunity that presents itself, which might be a little bit different from what the original concept that you're working on.
Okay, good. And the last one, he said, is establish a platform or base where the offense would start.
I feel that he tried to get each player to accept the role that he meant for them.
Okay.
And the base would be, he's going to have his starting five that he's, as long as without injury or anything, they're going to start all the time, and others ready to come in and knowing that they're going to come in at a certain time, and depending on how the game is going, and maybe they're not going to come in at all, but accepting the role that he has for him, getting players to accept the role that the leader determines is in the best interest for the group as a whole is one of the most difficult jobs that a leader has, or a coach has. It's absolutely, you get them to accept. They all want to start, they all want to play,
right.
And I used to say, use this with some, I will get ready, and then perhaps my chance will come.
Okay.
But if you feel that it's not coming when you're not ready then, and there it comes and you're not ready, it's not going to come again very soon. I used to equate the team with a high-powered automobile. And let's say a player like Alcindor or Jabbar, he is the powerful engine in there.
Right.
And here's a player that he's only a nut. And here's a fellow that's a wheel.
Okay.
Now, we lose that nut, we lose the wheel, how good's the engine? He's no good at all.
No good.
You have to accept the role. You can aspire to a different role, but prove yourself for it. And accept the role that is best right now, what the coach. Now, if it's going to be another role, it's better. If the coach knows what he's doing, he'll probably see it, because the success of the team means more to the coach than it will to the individual player.
Okay. Okay. How would you compare the scrimmages of Lambert to yours?
Well, there's one place that we were quite different.
Okay.
He scrimmaged a lot. I scrimmaged very little. After the season started, for example, I scrimmaged very little.
What's your definition of happiness? What makes you happy?
Being reasonably content with your position, your family, your faith.
Right.
I think that's what happiness is. I think the three important things are faith, family, and friends.
Okay.
In that order.
Faith, family, and friends.
They're the three F's.
Okay. And I guess it makes you feel very good when you get calls weekly from Bill Walton and the others. And,
oh, yes.
And that
yes.
really means a lot, because they're busy people and they don't have to do it, and but they want to do it.
It's nice.
Yeah. So that's where the friends come in. Interesting. All right. Just a few more. Do you have to love your players to be a successful coach? Is that a fair statement?
Well,
I've heard some coaches say you really have to love them to be a great coach. And
one of the so-called outstanding coaches of the profession said, I'm not here to court them, I'm here to coach them. When someone said, your players don't seem to love you like a lot of other coaches, I'm here to coach them, not court them.
Right.
And I think that if you truly have that good feeling towards your players, that you will do a better job. I believe that's so. I do believe, as Coach Stagg said, I never had a player I didn't love, and many I didn't like and didn't respect, but I loved them just the same.
Okay.
Well, you don't like your children always.
That's for sure.
It's the things they do that you don't like. It isn't,
Right.
But it doesn't have anything to do with your love for
No,
them.
you always will love them. That's
Yeah.
true.
And I think to be truly successful in anything, you have to have a good feeling toward all of your coworkers, whether it's someone under your supervision or someone under whose supervision you are. I think you have to have a good feeling to them. And so many people look at love in different ways. They think love is one thing, somebody else thinks it's something, and I look at love as being a lasting thing. Passion is a temporary thing. And I think you need to have a good feeling, whether it be love the way most people do define it or not, I can't say.
Yeah. Could a player come to you if he had gotten in trouble? Let's take a hypothetical. One of your players gets a girl pregnant. He doesn't know what to do. He's afraid to tell his parents. It's a dilemma. It's going to affect the way he plays on the court because he's got that on his mind. Would they come to you with similar thing? Maybe not that situation. No. And if so, what do you do? He's now putting it on your desk.
I want them to be, all my players, I wanted them to know that they can approach me on anything.
Okay.
Maybe I can help them. Maybe just getting things off of your chest helps them. I can't do anything about it, but getting it off your chest will help you. And I want to have an open door forum to come in for any type of thing. As I used to tell them, you can come in at any time, and just don't come in for a hangnail because you have a hangnail or something. But any type of problem, whether at home or girlfriend or whatever it is, don't be afraid to come to see me. And certainly we're going to try to keep up on this, but I want you to, if you feel that you're having trouble in any particular subject, come to me so we can get a tutor for it right away. We're going to try to get the tutors in where we consider you might need them earlier, but sometimes we don't always catch that. And it may be something else that we didn't anticipate. So don't be afraid to come for me for anything. I'll listen. And sometimes you need just somebody to listen to you. Maybe I can't do a thing about it, but listen will sometimes help you. And don't be afraid with anything. I don't care what it is. Don't be afraid to come. And I'll try to help what I can.